Apple didn't pay a dividend for 17 years. Coca-Cola has paid one for over a century without missing a beat. Both are right. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly why some companies pay you and others never do. Today, we're breaking down dividend policy, the deliberate choice every profitable company makes between paying you and growing itself. Let's start simple. A dividend is a direct cash payment a company makes to its shareholders, straight out of its profits. If you own the stock, the money lands straight in your account. No extra step needed. So where does that money come from? Every company that turns a profit faces the exact same fork in the road for that money. It can reinvest the profit back into the business, new factories, new hires, new products, or it can pay that profit out directly to shareholders. There's no third option. It's always one or a mix of both. And here's the key idea for this whole episode. This isn't an accident, and no law forces a company to pay a dividend. It's a deliberate decision leadership makes year after year, based on what makes the most sense for that business at that stage of its life. Here's the logic behind reinvesting. If a company can take $1 of profit and turn it into something worth more than $1 down the line, a new product line, a new market, then paying that dollar out to shareholders would actually be a waste. Keeping it and growing it is the better trade. Apple is the textbook example. For 17 years, Apple paid no dividend at all, not because it couldn't afford one, but because every dollar of profit reinvested into new products and new growth was worth more to shareholders than that same dollar paid out. The stock's growth over those years made that bet look very right. This is exactly why fast-growing companies, think Amazon or Google's parent Alphabet for most of its history, plow their profits straight back into the business instead of paying dividends. When there's still a lot of room to grow, growth usually beats a payout. Now, flip to the other side. A mature, stable company has usually already captured most of its big growth opportunities. There are fewer places left to profitably reinvest a dollar, so instead of sitting on cash or chasing lower return projects, it makes more sense to return that profit directly to the people who own the company. Coca-Cola is the other side of that same coin. It's paid a dividend for over a century without ever missing one, through wars, recessions, and every kind of market crash. That's not an accident. It's a deliberate commitment the company protects fiercely. A steady, reliable dividend attracts a very specific kind of investor: retirees living off their portfolio, pension funds with regular obligations to pay, anyone who wants predictable income rather than just long-term growth. For them, that quarterly payment is the whole point of owning the stock. Let's get concrete with the numbers. Dividend yield expresses the payment as a percentage of the share price. Take the annual dividend per share, divide by the price you'd pay for that share, and that percentage tells you the cash return you're getting just from the dividend, separate from any price gains. The other key number is the payout ratio. What percentage of the company's total profit is actually paid out as dividends versus kept and reinvested? A company paying out 40% of its profit is keeping the other 60% working inside the business. Use both numbers together. Yield tells you the return you're getting today. Payout ratio tells you how sustainable that return actually is. A very high yield paired with a payout ratio near 100% is a company with very little room left to absorb a bad year. This is why a dividend cut is one of the most feared announcements in investing. It's not just less cash for shareholders. The market reads a cut as the company itself admitting trouble is serious enough that it can't keep its promise. Stocks often fall sharply on the news, well beyond the value of the missed payment. Because of that reaction, companies with long dividend streaks fight hard to protect them, sometimes borrowing short-term or trimming other spending just to avoid breaking the streak in a rough year. The consistency itself becomes a signal of financial discipline that investors trust. In the US, this idea has its own famous club, the Dividend Aristocrats, companies that haven't just paid a dividend, but actually increased it every single year, for at least 25 consecutive years. Membership in that club becomes part of the company's identity and a magnet for income investors. There's a second way to return money to shareholders that doesn't involve a dividend at all, a share buyback. Instead of paying cash directly to shareholders, the company uses its profit to buy its own shares back from the market and retire them, leaving fewer shares outstanding, so each remaining share represents a slightly bigger slice of the company. Both roads return value to shareholders. The goal is identical. But the mechanics differ. A dividend puts cash directly in your hand today. A buyback doesn't pay you anything directly. It raises the value of each share you already hold, and you only realize that gain if and when you sell. In recent years, especially in the US, many companies have leaned toward buybacks over dividends. A big reason is tax treatment. A dividend is typically taxed the moment you receive it, while a buyback's benefit only gets taxed later, when you choose to sell, which is often more efficient for the shareholder. Let's put the two paths side by side. Mature, stable companies in sectors like utilities or consumer staples tend to pay. They attract income investors and signal confidence and discipline. High-growth companies, especially in tech, tend to reinvest or buy back. They attract growth investors and signal confidence in their own reinvestment. One rewards you with cash right away. The other rewards you through share price growth. This is a common myth worth busting directly, that a company with no dividend must be a bad or struggling company. Amazon and Google's parent Alphabet paid no dividend for most of their history, while delivering some of the best returns in the market. No dividend can simply mean a company sees better use for its money than paying you today. In India, well-known blue chips have built long reputations as reliable dividend payers, the kind of stocks income-focused Indian investors specifically seek out for that steady, predictable payout. The U.S. market has room for both extremes at once: the dividend aristocrats, with their multi-decade streaks, and reinvestment and buyback-heavy giants like the big tech names, both thriving with completely opposite philosophies on the very same question. Let's recap. Every profit a company makes faces the same fork: reinvest it or pay it out. Growth companies tend to reinvest. Mature companies tend to pay. Dividend yield tells you the return. Payout ratio tells you how sustainable it is. A dividend cut is read as a red flag, which is why companies protect their streak fiercely. And no dividend doesn't mean a bad company. Sometimes it means a better one. Now that we know how companies raise and use money, let's meet the asset itself. They sell to raise it. Next time, what exactly is a share? If dividends, payout ratios, and buybacks all clicked into place for you, please hit that subscribe button. It's completely free, and it's the single biggest way you help this channel grow and reach more people just starting out. See you in the next one.